Good evening, everybody. Well, good afternoon. It's BLU-ERNIE, aka Ernest from Manchester. This is just a little quick video for all my YouTube friends and family out there who like watching my little films. Another, as you know, I'm a good friend of Eight, the Chosen One. He's just put up a video and he wants to know the best dialogue you've heard in movies, one that sticks in your brain, makes you, never goes away, always there, always think about it and have a smile on your face. Well, I've done a few. I've wrote 6 down that I can, there we go. I wrote 6 down that I can remember because I'm getting old. So they're in no particular order, but I'll start off with the bottom to the top. Wild at Heart, David Lynch's road movie, or David Lynch's version of The Wizard of Oz, if that's how you want to call it, the Yellow Brick Road. Stars Laura Dern, Dennis Hopper, William Dafoe's in it, and Nicolas Cage. Laura Dern and Nicolas Cage are lovers, and he gets out of jail after being a bad person, and he meets his girlfriend, Laura Dern, who's been waiting for him for so long. Now, the first scene, he walks out the penitentiary, he's sat there in a car, and he starts saying all these, he starts talking to her, and she turns around and says, "I've got something for you," and she throws him a snakeskin jacket, and Nicolas Cage just says one of the best lines in it. "This is my snakeskin jacket. It's my belief in personal freedom to wear this." It's a cool line and it's a cool jacket and good film. If you ever want to check it out, it's violent, but it's a really good one. Next up is Platoon. When I first seen this in 1986 at the cinema, I was a young adult and I liked Vietnam films. That was the era I grew up in. It was on the news. Mother Half Richards, World War II and Vietnam. When I first seen Platoon, I didn't rate it and I watched it again and a few times, and it's pretty brutal. It really hits home about Vietnam, and Charlie Sheen plays a young recruit who's from a good side of the family. His family are loaded everything, but he doesn't want money. He wants to fight for his country, and all the people in Vietnam that he meets, the soldiers and everyone, they're not what you would call well-to-do and well-off. So he don't fit in at the beginning. He eventually fits in. But going through Vietnam, going through his tour, they go to his Gook village, as they call it. And Matt Dillon's brother, Kevin Dillon, is in a scene with a couple of his mates. And it's a pretty horrific scene, but the dialogue sticks in your mind, really gets to you. And I always remember the dialogue because the 3 army guys in this shack are raping this young girl, and Charlie Sheen walks in on them, and he basically flips his lid and he says, "What you doing?" and everything. And Kevin Dillon turns around and goes, "She's just a fucking gook," this, that, and and really, really derogatory. And Charlie Sheen loses his mind and starts pushing him about, saying, "You're all fucking animals. You're really horrible." And the dialogue is amazing because I think he ad-libs it because he just goes ballistic because he's seeing humanity right in front of him being violated by these supposed to be friends of his who are supposed to stick by him through war and support him and everything, and all they're doing is raping someone, and it's a fucking nasty scene. But that's what sums Charlie Sheen up in the movie. That's what makes him a man, because he stands up against all of his mates and colleagues just to stop this young girl from being raped. It's a great film. Next one up, there's lots of dialogue in this, and you can have lots of great lines and great pieces of dialogue. It's a film from 1975, produced by Michael Douglas. It should have been starring Michael Douglas, but the role of R.P. McMurphy went to Jack Nicholson. I'm talking about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Jack Nicholson plays this jailbird who gets sent to a mental asylum because he acts daft and mental to get there because he doesn't want to work. And there's one funny scene at the beginning, the dialogue's amazing, where the chief of the wardens is sat in the office with him and he says, "Can you tell me why you're in here?" And he just turns around and says, "Because I fight and fuck too much." It's absolutely brilliant. Great piece of dialogue, very funny. But it's also very serious, and it's got a heart somewhere in the film, and it pulls at you. The people are just, the actors a lot of them were actually inmates, but most of them, the main characters like Christopher Lloyd and Danny DeVito and Louise Fletcher, and there's a guy who plays a big Indian. They're all absolutely amazing actors. Great film, great dialogue, one to check out. Next one up is one of my favourites from the 80s. It's dialogue heavy, and there's lots of great dialogue in it, so you can pick numerous lines from it. I'm talking about The Breakfast Club, and the one scene that always sticks in my mind whenever I think about it, it makes me want to watch the film, is when they're all having lunch in the library, and the headmaster who's looking after them has gone into the other room, and Judd Nelson plays the character of John Bender, and there's Ali Sheedy, Molly Ringwald, Emilio Estevez, and Anthony Michael Hall. And they're all having different dinners and stuff. And Judd Nelson's the bad boy, and he's trying to be funny in it, all that stuff. And he's taking the mickey out of, or taking the piss out of everyone's dinner and mocking them and everything. And they start talking about home life and everything. And basically Emilio Estevez calls Judd Nelson a liar. And Judd Nelson walks up to him, undoes his sleeve, and there's a big burn mark there. And he goes, "You see, this is what you get when you spill paint in the garage. Do I stutter?" And then he goes off on one. Judd Nelson just steals the film. He goes off on one about Christmas and everything, about how his family are poor and all his dad gives him is a carton of cigarettes. And he says, and he goes off swearing and everything, and he goes, "I don't need to stay here and listen to this shit with you fucking dildos any longer." And he basically goes off on one and explodes, and it's a great piece of dialogue and a great film and one of the best scenes of a teen angst film ever. My other one, I've got another two. Another one is a British classic from the late 80s starring Richard E. Grant, Paul McGann and Richard Griffiths, the late Richard Griffiths. I'm talking about Withnail and I. Now, for anybody in America, if you've never seen Withnail and I, you might have to put subtitles on because a lot of the dialogue's British based. It's a very funny film. It's one of the best British films ever, and it's one of the most quoted British films as well. Every line is a quote. It's funny, it's poignant, it's also sad at times, but mainly it's hilarious. It's about two out-of-work actors, Richard E. Grant and Paul McGann, in the late 1960s, living in this squalor, this cesspit in Camden Town, and they've got a drug dealer friend called Danny, and he's the local drug dealer, who's completely spaced out of his mind all the time. He's always on something, and they decide to go away for the week in the country. They borrow the keys off their Uncle Monty, played by Richard Griffiths, who's a 25-stone gay man, who, unbeknown to Paul McGann, gets the keys for the cottage, because he says to Richard E. Griffiths, Uncle Monty, that he's active, and he's up for a bit of fun. So Uncle Monty thinks he's going to get his naughty way with Paul McGann. It's very brilliant. It's some great dialogue in it. Some amazing dialogue scenes. One of the lines that I like, Paul, at the beginning where Paul McGann's looking out the window and he's seeing old London being knocked down and being redeveloped, and he just turns around and says, "Even a stock clock tells the same time twice a day." And then he goes on to this monologue dialogue as he's talking over. But there's a scene where they meet the drug dealer, comes into the flat, Danny, and they're talking and having a laugh with each other and everything. And he turns around, the drug dealer, and he goes, "The greatest decade in the history of mankind is coming to an end. And like the Rolling Stones says, we have forgot to paint it black." Then there's a big pause, and he turns around and says, "They're selling hippie wigs in Woolworths, man." And that's amazing piece of dialogue. It always sticks in my mind. And my last dialogue in movies for the moment is another classic, Steven Spielberg's Jaws. That's got loads of great dialogue in it and everything, like should have got a bigger boat and all the usual stuff, and Buster Brown's getting hung up. But my favourite scene, and I think most people will agree, The Chosen Ones should agree, is when they're all sat down getting drunk at night, waiting for the shark to wake up for the day to try and kill it again. and they're talking about all the wounds and everything, how they got scars and cuts and bruises and everything. And then Robert Shaw goes into the true story of the sailors at the USS Indianapolis, where it got sunk in World War Two, and they were basically fish food floating around. And it's one of the best pieces of dialogue in a film, because you are rooted to that story and you imagine yourself as that person in the sea. And it is a fantastic, fantastic piece of dialogue in a brilliant film. So there you go. Sorry about the bad language, but it's in the movies. Hope you like my little dialogue movies. Comment, quote below. I'll do another one. I've got an unboxing coming up soon, so I'm going to put that down of all the latest stuff I've got in the past month and a half. So speak to you all soon. Cheers from Blue Ernie. Enjoy your day. Bye.